Yo, what's up? Hey, part 5 here. That should not say 4 anymore. That should definitely say part 5. Number 30 through 39 solutions. A lot of discriminants here. And the quadratic formula. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, it says find the value of the discriminant and determine the number of real solutions for each. All right. So first of all, to find the discriminant, guys, all right, you need to use the formula b squared minus 4 times a times c. All right, that is the stuff from underneath the radical of the quadratic formula. All right, the discriminant, all right, is this equation right here. So, for example, right here, A is 1, B is 2, C is -6. So when I plug all this into that equation, I get 2 squared minus 4 times A is 1. Times -6. Alright, so that's 4 minus, let's see, plus 24. Alright, and 4 plus 24 is going to be 28. So the discriminant is 28. Alright, now you remember back on your 2-5 notes, 2-5 notes, you're going to get two real irrational solutions. Alright, solutions. Alright. Okay, over here. Let's do this one. A is 2, B is 2, C is 4. So we have 2 squared minus 4 times 2 times 4. Alright, so that's 4 minus 32, which is going to give us a -28. So because it's negative, alright, that means we're going to have 2 imaginary solutions. Okay. Alright. This one, I'm going to move this back to the other side first. So I have -x squared. Alright. And I'm writing this in what's called standard form by descending order. Alright, plus 6x. When you move this back over here, it's positive, guys. So plus 6x plus 7. Alright. Now, the reason I did this is so I can identify A. Alright, A is -1, B is 6, C is 7. Okay. So now we have B squared, which is 6 squared, minus 4 times A times C. Alright, so that gives us 36 minus, that becomes a positive 4 times 7 is 28. So plus 28, right? Which is 64. Alright, so see how 64 is a perfect square, guys? Alright, because we get a perfect square, that means we're going to have 2 real rational solutions. Perfect square means 2 real rational solutions. Okay. All right, and lastly, this example right here. Let's see. Move the 1 over here, so we have x squared plus 2x plus 1. Now A is 1, B is 2, C is 1. So we have 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 1. Well, that's 4 minus 4, which is 0. Alright, and because the answer is 0, the discriminant is 0, that means we're going to have 1 real solution. 1 real solution, okay. Alright, now let's look at 34. 34 says we need to use the quadratic equation to solve each equation. So let me write that down. Negative b plus or minus the square root of, remember the discriminant, b squared minus 4 times a times c. That's your discriminant. All over 2 times a. All right, there's our quadratic formula. So we're going to use that to solve this. So real quick, a is 2, b is -5, and c equals -4. So I put it all into the equation like this. So it's all in like this. Remember that b is -5. So I have the negative right there and the -5, which is b, okay? And -5 squared, because that's b. All right, so anyway, reducing this, that becomes a +5. All right, and then we have plus or minus. Now this is 25, so let me go ahead and simplify that. We have 25. Guys, you should always do this part first. All right, let me show you what I mean. Do this portion, this highlighted portion right here first. All right, you should do that always first before you try to take the square root. Do not do the radical, just do what's underneath the radical first. All right, and you can do that with your calculator, so I want to show you. So I did the negative b squared minus 4 times a times c. And when I do that, that's 57. I get exactly what the answer is underneath the radical. All right, I get exactly what it is. All right, so we know that this radical right here is 57. All over 4. All right. Now, none of this they don't have any factors in common. All right, so that's going to be our solution. X equals 5 plus or minus square root of 57 over 4. All right. All right, let's look at this one. For this problem, let's see here. You know what I didn't want to clear out? It's fine, though. I'm just going to erase like this. My quadratic formula. There we go. Alright. For this problem, we got A is 3, B is 0, but the reason B is 0 is, remember, is ax squared plus bx plus c. There's no bx here. There's no single x anywhere. There's x squared, which means that's a, right? There's a constant -8, which means that's c, right? But there's no x. You see a single x anywhere? I don't. So that means b is 0. So now when I plug it in, I get 0 plus or minus the square root of 0 squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times 3. All right, so again, do just this portion right here. All right, let me highlight it for you once again. Just that portion right there, and when you do that, all right, you're going to get the square root of, well, here you got 0. What 0 is 0, so I'm not even going to rewrite that. All right, but I'm going to have plus or minus the square root of 96 all over 6. Okay. So now we need to simplify this because the square root of 96 can break apart. There are perfect squares that are factors of 96. All right, and that is going to be 36 and no, not 36. 16. So the square root of 16 times square root of 6 over 6. Now, I know you're tempted to go, oh, I can cancel that out. No, you can't. This is the radical of 6. This is, and that's a whole number 6, so you can't cancel it off. Anyway, the square root of 16 is 4. And the square root of 6 all over 6. Now, we can reduce these two. Alright, and we reduce those two, we're going to get plus or minus 2 radical 6 all over 3. Both of those are divisible by 2. So there is your final solution for 35. Okay. Alright, moving along. 36. Let me clear this ink off the page. All right, and negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, there is 36. A is 6, b is negative 5, c is 1. So we have negative 5, that's b, plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times 6 times 1 all over 2 times 6. And again, I advise you to do this portion. Oops, didn't change. Let's see. This portion first. There we go. I advise you to do that portion first. Alright, and when you do that, this becomes 5 plus or minus the square root of 1. That's 25 minus 24, that's 1 all over 12. So when we break that apart, or excuse me, the square root of 1 is 1. So you have 5 plus or minus 1. 5 plus or minus 1 over 12. Well, we can actually solve that top part, okay? So 5 plus 1 and 5 minus 1. 5 plus 1 is going to be 6 over 12, which is 1/2. And 5 minus 1 is 4 over 12, which is 1/3. So x equals 1/2 and 1/3. Those are our two solutions for 36. Now 37. 37. Let's see here. I'm using another color. Ooh, more colors. Let's see. What can I do with this? Let's go nice. Nice pink, man. Add that to the palette. That's still red. Ooh, that sucks. Alright, we'll go red then. Alright, so again, A is 1, B is negative 8. So negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2A. So again, do this part. Do that first. Do that first. And when we do that, we're going to get right here 8 plus or minus the square root of 32 all over 2. Okay. So now 32, there's a perfect square. That's a factor of 32. So I want to factor that into 16 and 2. And the square root of 16 is 4. So we'll go here. 8 plus or minus. So the square root of 16 is 4 times radical 2 over 2. Now, I put this in separate colors so you can see. See, 8, 4, and 2 are all divisible by 2. So we're going to do it like that, okay? So you got 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So guys, that's it, man. That's the answer for 37. And 2 more, and then I'm going to cut this video. Oh man, this one. Honestly, guys, you don't have to use a quadratic here. I'm just going to solve it. I'm just going to show you. You can solve this using the square root method. Subtract 5 on both sides. You get x squared equals negative 5. Then square root both sides. X equals plus or minus. Now, the square root of 5 is the square root of 5. But see that negative? That negative becomes I. So there is your two solutions for this one. Alright. Now, one more. 39. A is 3, B is -4. So I'm going to go -4, -4, plus or minus the square root of -4 squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2A. Oh, not 2A, but all over. Let's change A to actually A3. Alright, there we go. Now, looking at just this portion right here. Alright, 16 minus 24. That's going to be negative. Yep. So we have 4 on the outside. That becomes 4. Plus or minus the square root of -8 all over 6. Now, there's a perfect square in the factor of 8. And that negative, guys, I'm going to pull that out. That's I. So 4 plus or minus I, square root of 4, square root of 2, because that's 8 right there, all over 6. So let's go and simplify it all the way. 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 is 2. I square root of 2 over 6. Now, these three things right here are divisible by 2. That's outside this. Oops, man, what in the world? Let me try that again. Alright, this, holy moly. Alright, let me try one more time. This 2 and this 6 are all divisible by 2. Alright, so if I divide everything by 2, alright, I get 2 plus or minus I radical 2 all over 3. And there's your solution right there, guys, to 39. Okay. So that concludes this video. And the rest, guys, part 6, we just have all the other solutions. Okay. All right.